Hello, it's Sally here. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me and a happy new year. This is my first video of the year and it's the hashtag what is slow stitch that I'm going to be starting today. And some of you might be aware of it already because you've seen the posts that I've put on Facebook and in the Facebook group. So this is where we're starting from. And before I actually dive straight into a project, I'm going to just give you a little bit of background on this is all it's what I consider slow stitching. Other people might have other ideas. I've done a little bit of research on slow stitching and I can't really find too much. It is quite a new thing. It's embroidery, but it's a little bit more freestyle. That's kind of basically what it is. It's not strict. It's not got well, if we just look at this, first of all, what I've done a few of these, and this is the first one, and I'm splitting slow stitch into two because there's the slow element and then there's the stitch element. So for me, the slow element is all about first of all, no rules. You know, you can do whatever you like. It really is up to you. You know, it's a process. You can clear your mind and just stitch. Don't have to worry about anything. I find it very restful, so I've put restfulness there. One of the buzzwords, I suppose, of the moment is mindfulness, isn't it? It is mindfulness because it's just all about slowing down. For me, it is about doing your stitching by hand. I know some people say it doesn't matter about doing it on the machine, but for me, that's not slow stitching. For me, slow stitching is by hand. It's getting to know your fabric, getting to feel your fabric, having a relationship with your fabric. You know, you can feel all the textures in there, all the little lumps and bumps and tears and holes. Using vintage fabrics, basically, you've got all, you know, the life that your fabric's already had. These are all, I've done this on a vintage doily here. This one's quite, I don't think this one's got much wrong with it, but some of them got little holes in and the fabric, the thread has worn. But it's all about using fabrics that have got a life, that have had a life, and you're bringing them back to life again, and you're doing your bit with them. So it's, you know, it's bringing that story into your story. So there's no pressure, there's no prep required. The projects that I'm going to do are very low requirements. You won't have to have many tools or anything. It really is just to get your needle, your thread and your fabric and just start stitching. That's really what it's all about. We will be adding little elements, but it will be gradually and it will be slowly, and this is really, we're starting at the very beginning. Anyone can do this. I've had a lot of people, you know, say, oh, it's very daunting when you see all these stitches and all these different textures that you can create, and it can get quite complicated, but we're going to start at the very beginning. This is accessible to everybody, whether you've stitched before or you've not stitched for a long time, or even if you're an experienced stitcher and you just want to slow down a little bit and just do some mindful stitching where you don't have to think too much about a pattern, you don't have to draw a pattern. It will be just getting on and stitching and just stitching away. So it's being in the moment, enjoying the process, because that's what it's all about. It's just about enjoying that stitching process. You don't have to have a result. You can just stitch because you enjoy stitching. Taking a little bit of me time. I think I've covered all of the things that I've got written on there. So that's what slow stitching is to me, and like I say, this is just my interpretation of slow stitching. If you ask somebody else, they will have a different opinion, but that's kind of what I feel is slow stitching for me. So I'm just going to put that one up there because I have done another one. So this is the stitch side of slow stitching. So what is slow stitch as in stitching? So it's all about mark making. It's not about drawing. You can, it will be, you know, you can draw, for example, a flower, but it's not, it's just about mark making, and you can do whatever you like. So it's enjoying the process of that needle going through your thread, needle and thread going through your fabric. And then I find there's perfection in imperfection. Nothing has to be perfect here, and that's perfect in its own way. You know, if you look at my stitching, it's not perfect, but I like it, and that's perfect for me. Any stitches will do. You can do them any length, you can do them any colour, whatever you want to do. So you find your own style, and the more you sew, the more you realise what you like, you find what you like, and that becomes, you start creating your own style. There's no pattern required. There may be some elements here that we're going to do, for example, a circle or a shape, but it's all going to be very loose, and it's not going to be complicated or anything like that. So it's about creating, I've put creating pattern. So there's no pattern required, as in drawing a pattern and stitching that pattern. It's all about creating your pattern as you're going along. That's a pattern as you're sewing your thread and you're moving your thread along, and you're creating that pattern already. You're not having to draw it. It's just being created by you threading your needle and thread through your fabric. So you're meandering your way across the fabric. Like I said, it's all skill levels. It doesn't matter whether you're a beginner or a little bit more advanced. This will cater for everybody, and it's just a way of relaxing, really, and it's enjoying the process of the stitch, just stitching away. It's not the process of getting an end result, it's just stitching because you enjoy stitching. So that's kind of covering for me what slow stitch is, as in slow and stitch. So I hope that kind of explains a little bit about what I think slow stitching is anyway. So I'm going to go on, and obviously the next question is, what do I need to do this? So I've just put a few things on here. This isn't everything and it's just a few guides as to what we may be using through this project. So supplies. So let's start with the needles first. Now I have just gathered, yes, I use 2 different kinds of needles. The brand I use is John James. It doesn't matter what brand you use, really, and I use a chenille number 22, which is a thicker needle, and it's got a large eye on it. That's so that you can get the woolly type of threads through, and also maybe when you're using 6 strands of your stranded cotton, that's ideal for that. It's pointed, but it's kind of, the eye is kind of bigger than the shank itself. Is it called a shank? I'm not sure what it's called. The length of the needle anyway. So what happens is when you pull your needle through and you pull your eye through, it just creates a larger hole to get all of that thread through. And then for the thin needle, I like to use a cotton darner number 5. That's just my preference. I know other people like to use milliner's needles, and I have used milliner's needles, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I just get on with these ones. And this is a cotton darner number 5, and this is a straight needle. So it's one that runs straight up and down. There's no width at the eye like there is on this one. And it's got a fairly large, I like this one because it's got a larger eye than the milliner's needles, and I find that easier to thread myself. So they're the 2 needles that I use the most. I do use other needles, for example a beading needle, which is a very fine needle, and I use a thicker needle as well sometimes if I need to get a thicker thread through. But on the whole, these are the 2 needles that I will use, and I will probably only be using these 2 for this project as well. So they're needles that I wanted to talk about. So I've just gone and put chenille number 22 and a cotton darn number 5, and that's just my preference. It's, you know, I'm not saying you have to use those at all. I'm just telling you what my preference is. So that's that. And then we go on to threads. So I've put DMC 6 strand, but there are you just try and I've dug a few of them out. These are just these ones here. But there's also Anchor as well, and you can also get unbranded ones. These are all DMC, but I have got that's DMC as well. When I was pulling them out earlier, I just got Anchor ones. So no, another DMC. So I'm sure I have got Anchor ones as well. Yes, that's an anchor one there. So, but I don't prefer one over the other, but DMC is kind of like, I suppose, the market leader, isn't it? So, but whatever you've got really at hand, don't go out and buy. If you've got some already and they're the colours that you like, just use them. That's all. The other things that I'm going to be using are pearl threads, or they're also known as like crochet cottons. That's a thinner one, and I have got a thicker one there. And what else have I got? That's a thicker one there in a grey. And I've got a thinner one in a cream there. I've just picked out colours that I like. What else have I got here? Wool. Okay, so I've got this kind of wool here. This is like a chenille-y. I don't know if it's chenille actually, but it's kind of like a textured wool, but I love the colours in that. That was kind of like what I'm basing all of my colours off. I kind of took that and then kind of thought, right, what colours can I use to around that one? So I've got some thread. This is wool here. I think this is a 4-ply. I think it's also called sock fingering wool, I think it's called, something like that. That's a 4-ply. I've got some tapestry wool, which I think might be double 8-ply maybe. I'm not sure what it says, but that's a tapestry wool. Another thin one there. That's kind of a what's it called? Variegated. Then I've got this thread here. Don't know what this one is. It was just in my collection. It's a cotton, but it could be a pearl, like a pearl. Yeah, it's a bit thicker than that one. But that's been hand dyed. Yeah, just gathering threads that kind of go with your colour scheme. So that's kind of like the colours that I'm going to be using. Kind of a little bit muted, but then also I have got a red to give it a pop, and I've got a dark blue as well to kind of go dark if I want to go dark as well. So I do love a red, and I'm sure I'll be doing little pops of red just because. It doesn't, I mean, it looks kind of like out of place in all of that, but I think it'll be fine. So there's that as well. So there's the threads. I'm just going to pop those there. And what else have we got? Oh, scissors. So I tend to use 3 different types of scissors. Just a small embroidery scissor, a larger one for when I'm cutting large fabrics, and then I've got a pinking shears as well. I don't know whether we'll be using those, but I just wanted to show you what kind of scissors that I use on a regular basis. They're kind of like the 3 that I would use on a regular basis. So that's scissors, and then we've got fabric and trims. Now I like to use vintage fabrics wherever I can. I don't usually buy that many new fabrics. So for example, when you have a new top, sometimes you get these little ribbons that are on the shoulders to hold them onto the hangers. They always get in my way. I don't like them on my garments, so I always snip them off, and I always put them into a jar and keep them. That was a lovely peachy one that I had that I like. I've got some trims here. This is just one that I got in a second-hand sale, not sure where. What else have I got? So we've got like ribbons. I've done ribbons and trims. Yeah, I've got some more ribbon there that I bought at a sale. Okay, so vintage linens. Now, linens, and I'm going to go linens, cottons, old cloths, anything really. We've got, look, here's the bit of a garment. So that was a bit of shirt. It's got a lovely little pocket there, but it's lovely old washed and worn fabric. This one here, look how gorgeous that is. It used to be, it's still got the cuff on with a little blue button. It used to be a blouse or a dress maybe. So pretty cotton fabrics. I've got this here. This used to be some kind of quilt. It's got quilting inside it, but it's lovely scrappy fabric. It's so soft and worn. And though it's bright red, it's got that lovely worn colour to it. This here, I got that from a charity shop. It's just some lovely vintage trim. Like I say, I'm not sure whether I'm going to be using all of these, but I just wanted to show you. That's another little piece. I don't know what it was, some kind of garment. It's got a little bit of, it used to have probably elastic inside. It hasn't anymore, but it's still kind of kept the crumpled bit. So we've got doilies, little bits cut off from doilies. That's a little bit of lace type fabric, and there is a cut off doily that I've used on another project. Anything that you've used from another project, do not chuck things away. Put them into a jar, save them. Look at that, small little bit of lace, but it'll be perfect. Little peachy bit of lace there. I've got wool blanket again. I think I've got woolen blanket down here. Yeah, wool blanket is really good for a wadding and to give texture. That is. Then we've got doilies, little pretty doilies here. Got a little bit of patchwork there, with some old fabrics on, and then just another piece of fabric there that's been used and loved. It's still got stitching marks in there, and where you can see where it's been taken apart, but that is all treasures to me. That's the kind of thing that I like to work with. So that's about it really. Oh, hang on, no, it isn't, because I forgot to put on here buttons and we've got buttons, so old buttons there, mother of pearl buttons, some linen buttons. Got Suffolk puffs. We're going to be doing Suffolk puffs one week. Little bow there. Oh, hang on, little bow there, and I'm throwing all my tiny little buttons away. So just bits and pieces that you gather up and treasure, and is what we're going to be using to embellish our things, but that will be kind of later. We're going to be starting with stitches first of all. So I think I've gone through everything there, and like I say, we're going to be starting with stitches. So my last one is stitches. So what kind of stitches are we going to be doing? Well, we're going to be starting off with a running stitch. Sorry, I couldn't find it for a minute, so I'm going to start off with a running stitch today and go on from there. And I don't know in what order. I'm hoping they'll kind of evolve. So we've got a back stitch, we've got a cross stitch, satin stitch, seed stitch, a blanket stitch, some couching, straight stitch, French knots. There are other stitches that I have got in mind to do on other weeks, and I think what will happen is as we go along and we build up more confidence, we will be probably doing a couple of stitches to start making patterns with our stitches and see how stitches can work together. So that's really what all of this is going to cover. So I'm just going to pop these on here so that we can start our project. So I'm just going to pop those over there out of the way. Now to start our project, this is my little case that I've got some more threads in here as well. I just gathered a load of threads that I just like the colour and the look of, so they're going to go in there. You could probably need a little container just to put your work in, just to keep it in one place, which would be a good idea. A little case like this, or a tin if you've got an old biscuit tin. It's around Christmas time, so maybe you've had a gift of biscuits or chocolates in a tin that you could reuse, anything like that, so would come in handy. Right, so to start with, we're going to be making a little stitch workbook. Now I'm just going to look, a ruler is a good idea as well, to have a ruler. So I have cut 8 pieces of fabric, and they're all vintage fabrics, and they all are approximately 11 inches that way by 5 inches. And I say approximately because as I was ripping them, some kind of went a little bit bigger and some went a little bit smaller. So what I've got here is, I'm just going to do it this way because this is my first piece that I've got, and it's a creamy colour. It was a napkin. It's got this beautiful little edge around it in yellow. So I thought that's going to be my cover. And when I say cover, it's going to be page 1 basically, because we're not doing covers, we're just doing pages. This is going to be a really simple workbook. So that's going to be my first page. And what I love about this is if you're using natural fibres, for example linen or cotton, if you just run your fingernail or a ruler, straight line, something just along the seam, fold it in half is what I mean, and then you can see they always crease. Natural fibres always crease. So again, doing that, just, you don't have to be exact, but you should be able to get the centre. So just as you're going on, and you've got your 8 pieces of fabric all cut. I've ripped a lot of these. You can see the frayed edges. I've ripped a lot of them. So to rip something, going to show you if I can find a piece of fabric. Let's use a bit of that. To rip a piece of fabric, get your measurements. So say if that was, if I'd measured that and that was, for example, 11 by 5, you just take a little snip at your 5-inch or your 9-inch or whatever, take a little snip and you should be able to rip it. If it's a natural fibre, it should rip quite easily, and that's all you need to do. And then you can go upwards as well like that. Snip it again, and then you should just be able to, and then you'd have your, if that was the right size, that would be how you rip your fabric. Let me just put those down. So that's what I have already done with my 8 pieces of fabric. So they are all approximately 11 by 5. So what I'm going to do now is just fold them all in half, run my fingernail down, and you get the centre seam, and I'm just going to place them on top of each other. So this one here was another napkin with a little decorative edge. You can see that one has kind of gone over, but I didn't want to cut it because it would have been a shame to cut one of the sides off when it's kind of near enough the right size for this project. This one here was some kind of table runner. I love this, so I'm going to use that as a page, and it will be incorporated when I come to do one of the stitches, I should think, and I'll either stitch round it or make it a feature, who knows, but just like the way I like this seams, this edge, sorry. Right, I'm just making sure that they're all on the roughly on the centre line. And just laying them on top of one another. Again, this is another piece of that napkin. This hasn't got the decorative bit on, it's just got the seams at the edges, but that's fine. Some of them have got marks and stains where they've had a previous life, but I really don't mind that at all. It just gives it a little bit of character. And this one here, this is actually a damask. I don't know whether you can see the pattern through it, but there's like a pattern through this. And this was I think it was a tablecloth. So again, just, these are all cottons and linens, and what it means is, I'm just going to have that one that way, just so that that seam is on the bottom. It just means that they crease a lot better. So I've got my centre line there. Okay. So what we're going to do is going to actually jump straight in and make this into a book. Now, you don't have to make it into a book at this moment in time. If you would prefer to stitch your pages singularly, so for example, this is going to be page number 1 that we're going to do today. If you don't want to have all of that bulk in your book, because I'm going to be stitching like this, and I'm going to be probably turning it to do it the other way as well. So there's going to be a lot of bulk there. Now I don't mind that, but if you don't want to have all that bulk, what you can do is you can actually do the making of the book at a later date when we're finished, and you can just stitch on your one piece of fabric. It's really up to you. Like I say, this is going to be up to you. It's your choice as to how you want to do it. I'm going to be making my book because I don't mind that there's a little bit of weight there, but it really is up to you as to what you want to do. But if you are wanting to do it, or even at a later date, you can pop back to this video and just see how I did this. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie our book together. So I need some thread first of all, so I'm going to just use this one here, and I'm going to just take a little bit of it, and we're going to do a pamphlet stitch. Now that might sound a bit daunting, but it's really easy. I'm just going to grab my needle. So you're going to take your chenille needle, chenille 22, or whatever you want to use. You don't have to use that one. I'm just using it because the thread is a little bit thicker and I've got to get through 8 layers of fabric as well. So you don't need a knot, but what you do need to do, also, if you're not comfortable with doing this, you can actually draw your lines down the center of your page. It's up to you. And and we're going to need 3 spaces here where we're going to, I'm just going to find my, I've got one of these here. This is called a friction pen. I know you can get others as well. This is a heat erasable pen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the centre. You can measure out if you want, but don't forget this is slow stitching and we don't have to be mega exact. So I'm just looking at this and I think that's about the centre. Okay, then what I want to do is I want to come up here. In fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to just measure. Right, there we go. Look, there's 2.5. Okay, because this is about, it's a little bit over 5 inches, but if we say that's the centre, okay, and then come up here and about 1 inch from the edge, I want to put a dot, and about 1 inch from this edge. I'm just going to, it doesn't look even, there we go. So they're just spaced out evenly. So that was, there's your 5 inches, okay. Then you're going 2.5 for your first dot. Then you're going 4 there and 1 there, something like that. It's not quite right, but something there. It'll be fine. You don't have to be that exact. Okay, so what we want to do is, while they're all together still, is push your thread through the first middle hole. Okay, pull it through, but don't pull it all the way through. Leave a little bit of a tail. Okay, then we're coming up at the top one. So just keeping them all in line, holding it with your finger. It's going to be somewhere there. Like I say, it doesn't have to be exact. Okay, so we've gone through there. I'm just going to turn it over so you can see. Oh look, even that is, it's wonky. It's very wonky. Right, what have I done there? Sorry about this. Let's try again. I don't think I took it through. Tell you what. Where we've done, I'm going to do the same on this side. So we did 2.5, 1 up there and 1 there. Okay, so that's where I want to come through approximately. So let's try that again. Going through the middle, it's approximately, can you see that? It's a tiny bit out, but I'm not bothered. Okay, can you see? It's just a tiny bit out. It's on that line. As long as you get it on this line where I folded, it's okay. So we've gone through, then I want to come back up there. Okay. Then I'm going to go right over to the bottom one, and it's coming through where I marked it approximately. Okay. Then we're going to go back into the centre. Somewhere there, and come up somewhere there. Don't worry, I'm going to do this again. Okay, so then we've got 2 strands here, right? I'm just going to do that again. I'm going to take it off so you can see what I did. Right, let's start again. I'm going to go down the middle. Just see if I'm approximately, I am just approximately on that line. Okay, leave a little bit of a tail. Then I'm going to go up to the top and through the top one. Okay, then I'm going to go down to the bottom. That's not quite level. Let's just try it again. That's approximately. Doesn't have to be exact, as long as it's somewhere along that line. Okay, and then I want to come back up at the middle. Okay, so I'm up at the middle. Now what I want to do is just go under that so that we've got 1 this side and 1 that side. Okay, I can can unthread my needle. Let's get rid of my needle. So I've got 2 strands here. Okay, just pull it, not so that it puckers. You don't want any fabric puckering up. So keep your fabric flat, but just make sure that your thread is straight. Okay, just double check on that side, make sure it's straight. It's in roughly the right line. It's not quite the right line, but it's roughly the right line. Okay, so you've done that, and then you want to do a knot. So 1 tie. So basically what you're doing is you're tying this as well, and then another knot. Okay, like that. Then just trim it off. Okay, like that. You can have it as short or as long as you like. I've just left it like that for now. Might trim it, I might not, who knows. And there's your book, that's it. So hopefully it didn't sound too, so when you open them up, you've got your pages, okay? And that's your pamphlet stitch, okay? I mean, it's not going to take, you know, you're not going to yank it too much, but I don't think, you know, it's holding together, it's fine. And you've got your little booklet, okay? So that's your workbook that you're going to be doing, okay? If anybody has any problems with this, just let me know and I will do it again on the next video, okay? But that's what we're working with now. So that's my booklet, okay? And this is going to be my first page that I'm going to be working on. So the first stitch that we're going to be doing is running stitch. So we need our needle, and I'm going to be using my cotton darner number 5 and some thread, and I'm going to be using 2 strands of a DMC or anchor or whatever floss you've got, whatever you've got. I've got some choices here. It basically is whatever colour you fancy. So I'm going to start with that one, okay? So what length of thread? I'm going to start with that amount. So if I measure that just approximately, it's whatever feels right. You'll get used to whatever you feel right. So that's like 12, 24, about 26 inches that is, but you can go shorter or longer. It's really up to you. And I'm just going to pull two strands. Now, pull them one at a time, because then you've got less chance of your thread getting tangled. So if you just start pulling, just do it quite gently, and it should come out quite easily. Okay, so there's one thread, and then I'm going to pull out the next one. Okay, so just keep it in your hand. It's puckering up, but it's not, the thread is moving quite freely, and that's done. So that's for next time, and this is for this time. So take your 2 strands and thread them. You may need to just lick them so that they stick together and it's easier to get through, like that. Then you need to knot. Some people use a quilter's knot, which you hold just there, wrap a couple of times round, say 3 times round, hold it and pull gently your thread through that knot. I'm just going to mess it up because I've just gone, oh no, it's done it. Okay, so it's still going through, and it will go right to the end, and it will make you a little knot. Okay, I'm just going to show you one more time. I can only show you right-handed as well. If you're left-handed, you're going to have to do everything the reverse way. But I can only show you right-handed. But so you just take your thread, hold your thread end, 1, 2, 3. Don't pull it too tight. But then as you're pulling down, you're still holding those threads, and it will automatically go into a little knot. Okay, if you can't get the hang of that and you don't fancy doing that, you can also just get it with your fingers. You might need just to lick your finger, just so you've got a little bit of I don't know, traction there or whatever, just so it holds the thread and it doesn't go out, it doesn't pull out of your fingers. And then if you just wrap it around your finger once, and then using your thumb, just twist your fibres, your thread, and that will get you a knot. So again, just twist it around your finger, push your thumb down, so you're kind of curling your thread, and then with your finger just do that and you get a knot. Okay, I'm sure there's other ways of doing it, but those are the two that I kind of use the most, but usually that one is quite quicker for me. So that's the one I use. It's a bit of a messy one, but you can always snip off that little end. Okay, now starting to stitch. So what I'm doing is, this is kind of like an open book, so you will see your front stitches and you will see your back stitches, and I think that's nice because you can see the story of your stitches as well as just the face of your stitches. So, you know, you can come back to this in a year's time and you'll probably see improvements. You say, oh, I did that. It's a reference for how you stitched when you first stitched. And then, you know, if there is any improvement to make, you can see your improvement. But I actually like the tail of your stitching as well, as the story of your stitching rather than just the face of your stitching. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a running stitch. Now you can do vertical, you can do diagonal if you want, you can do horizontal. It's really up to you. I'm going to turn my book this way and I'm going to use my book this way. So my first stitch, I'm going to go what will be vertical, but I'm stitching horizontal because I'm twisting my book round. Does that make sense? Okay, so my spine is here. I'm just going to find that easier, I think. So I'm just going to start here in the corner, pull my thread through. Now there's two ways to do this. You can do a stabbing motion, which is where you go down and back up. You can do your stitches as big or as small as you want. It's entirely up to you, okay? And down. Okay? Up and down. Okay, so you can do them that way. I just can see a little bit of a knot in my thread. I'm just doing that right. Or if you go back up to the top, you can start feeding your stitches onto your needle. They don't have to be all the same length, but you can just go along like this and have a few stacked stitches and then pull your needle through, and then you get your stitches like that. So again, just through and pull it through like that. It's entirely up to you how you want to do your stitches. Okay, I'm at the top, so I'm going to go back down. I'm going to go back under there. I'm going to turn my book around because I'm right-handed, so I have to go that way. If you're left-handed, you'll do it the opposite way to what I'm doing it. And again, just up and down like that. Or you can just, this is called a stabbing motion. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. This way you get a little bit more precise, especially if if you're doing a project, you may want a little bit of precision. So it's best, whatever's best for you, you do it your way. If you find that you are fretting about doing them in straight lines, you can use a pencil. If you just want to mark pencil lines, you can use one of these, which will iron off at a later date. You can pop these on. But it really doesn't matter if they're not that straight. It's up to you. You do what you like. Whatever makes you happy. So we'll do a few more of these ones like this. Don't panic when you've got a stitch, just pull it back out with your needle, just see what's going on. It might just be a little bit of a twist, which this one was, and back in. Just be gentle and it probably won't knot, is what I'm saying. Okay, try that run with my needle. And at the end of the day, if you don't like what you're doing, you can always undo it or just start on another piece, another area, and do something else. If you find that your stitches are puckering just a little bit, just be aware and pull your fabric and they'll probably go out. But just be gentle with it. So that's all we're doing, we're just doing some gentle work, enjoying our stitches. And back up. And I'm going to turn around. I mean, if you want to change colours, you can change colours, you can change directions, you could go a different way. This is going to be your unique little book that you can look back on for reference. Sometimes I'm doing a project and I'm thinking, right, what stitch would look good there? And I have to go back over some of my previous works just to see what stitches have I done before. Because I tend to fall into the trap of, once I've got a few stitches under my belt that I like, this being one of them, and just a couple of others, they're the ones that I tend to use, and I forget about others. And I think, no, I need to, I could use that. That would look really good there, that stitch. And then I have to actually go away and practice it because probably I've not used it for a long time. I forget how to start them off more than anything. This is not one of those stitches, this is just a dive in and get going, really. This is, it's a lovely stitch. It gives you a little bit of texture on your work. So there, let's do a few more stabbing ones. Up and back down. And then I'm coming to the end of my thread. I think I might just stop it there. Okay. So I need to finish this one off. Now, what I can do is I could weave through some of these stitches like that and just snip it off, okay? Because it should hold and it shouldn't come undone. But what you can do is you can go under and make a loop and just go through that loop to make a little knot. And what I find is, because this is quite a fine linen, rather than pull it and pull my stitches, if you just put your thumb over your knot and your thread and your stitches, it won't pull your stitches. So there and through. Just put your finger lightly over that knot until it pulls tightly, and then that's done. And then you can just snip that off like that. Okay, and then we're going to start again. So you've got your thread that you've already started to use, and there should be 4 left on here because we've only used 2. So again, use the first one and just pull gently, and it should just pull out quite easily. The other reason for doing this is if you separate your strands first of all, they kind of lie a little bit flatter and neater than if you pull them out together. Okay, so there's your 2 thread, that's a thread, and we're just going to thread them through like that. Okay, and then again, just knot it like that. And then we're going to just start where we ended, which is about there. Okay, so I'm going to go that way. So my stitches they're fairly big. You can go small, you can start practicing. This is a practice piece as well, so you can start practicing going a little bit smaller. And you can do that either by stacking them on your needle, or you can do them by stabbing them. You can go as small as you like, It's just practice needle control, this is, so you're practicing your needle control as well. They're not the same. No two stitches of mine are the same. But that's why I like slow stitch, because you know, you don't have to be precise. There, so we've got some small ones, or we can try it on the, by stacking them. Let's see how we go stacking them. So taking little ones like that. Okay, and then we're going to come up there. So again, just some little small ones. It just gives you that little bit of practice, a bit of needle control. It's going to give your page a little bit of variety as well. Okay, let's see what they look like. Yeah, a little bit smaller. And back up and twist it round. Okay, just gently does it, if you don't want to pull your thread too tight, that you're going to pucker up your fabric. Fine. The smaller my stitches, the closer my work gets. You know, can you see these lines are a little bit closer than these ones here? I find that if I'm working smaller, then kind of push everything up. But the more lines you've got, the more practice you can have. And it doesn't matter if you go a little bit wonky. It doesn't matter that they're not all in line here on the sides either. It doesn't matter. Again, whenever you're pulling anything, hold your thread. I just wanted to pull my thread a little bit because my tail's getting a little bit longer, so my thread's getting shorter. So rather than just pull everything, and what happens is your fabric will start to pucker up. Just hold it at the bottom so that you can pull your thread. Then you're not, ow, just stitch my finger. You're not pulling your fabric. So we're nearly at the end of my thread again. Let's see if I can get to the end, but it doesn't really matter where you start and finish on this. We're finishing there. Pop it over. And again, you can just feed it through. In fact, I've probably left this a little bit too long, too short. So all I'm going to do is feed this one through, because I don't think I've got room for a knot. Okay, so I'm just going to unthread my needle. There we go. But I don't think it'll matter. It's quite secure just under those. Okay, so we've got 2 lengths left. So I've just straightened that out, so there's no knots in it or anything. Then just gently pull it through, and then you've got the other one there. Tie it. Oops. Okay. Have a look. Right. So I'm starting here. Doesn't matter which end you start at. I'm sorry about the lighting as well. It's a really dull day here today. It's been raining all night and it's all dank and dismal outside. But we're into the new year, so spring will be here soon enough, won't it? Looking forward to all the flowers coming back to life. The birds chirping in the garden again. Oops, that's a bit too far. Let's go back up there. That's it. Back round. As long as you're gentle, you should be able just to pull your fabric like that, and everything will straighten up again. There is a lovely texture to be had when the stitches are slightly pulled together. So again, I want to pull because my tail is near to the end, I need to pull it up. So rather than pull my fabric and my stitches, if I put my thumb over that and just pull it, then I'm not going to upset my stitches. There we go, and on to the next row. about just over halfway, I would have thought by now. So I'm just going to finish just doing this, and then we're going to just have a little mini project as well that you don't have to do if you don't want to. But let's just get some more of these stitches done, and then I'll show you what that is. I mean, what you can do is, if you still want to practice your stitches, if you're enjoying it so much that you do not want to stop but you've run out of space on this page, you can go to one of the other pages and do a few stitches here and there. If you go to the back, because obviously we're working through these at the moment, so if you start at the back and just do a few, you could do a few there, because these back pages are going to be where we're doing little projects, and that could be part of your little project of doing more stitches. I will go into more of that at a later date, but a few stitches here and there of practice stitches will not hurt at all. We will have a couple of spare pages left over at the end to do that kind of thing with, where we're doing for example, we pick 3 stitches, and you can do, or you can pick whatever stitches you want, however many stitches you want, and just do a little medley of stitches on your page. So am I going to finish this? I think I'm just going to finish this length off here. Again, I won't have, it's getting short, so I haven't got enough there to do a knot, so I'm going to feed it back through. So what I'm going to do is, because it's even shorter, I'm going to go through with the back of my needle, go through that one, and then through another one as well. I think I'll just be able to get through 2. Oh, I might be able to get through 3. There you go, yeah, through 3. Like that. Just going to pull it a little bit, it's fine. Right, so I finished that colour, so I need to do some more. So I'm not measuring it, it's just 2 pulls of that one this time. So it's probably a little bit shorter, but it doesn't matter. Again, the 2 strands. You're just gentle with it. It should come out without any problem. Okay. Stuck quite a few stitches there, so let's see how we get on. Yeah, that's fine. Oops, I'll just pull that out of there. It's a little bit too long. Just hold on to your stitches. Right, I'm not going to go right up to the centre. I am going to leave a little bit of a gap. I'm going to do a couple more rows first, just see how much we can get out of this thread here, because this is coming to the end. Right, this is the first one I've had to do in the middle of a row, but so I'll just go down a couple. Then go through again, get your loop and go through your loop. Just be gentle with it and put your thumb on it just to pull, and again you can do another one if you need to, and through, and just gently. Okay, snip that off. Okay. Doesn't want to thread this time. Okay. So we'll just do a couple more rows on this one. Right, I think this is going to be my last row. We'll see how it looks. I might do another one, I'm not sure. I don't want to go too far up to this, what's it called? Seam thing. I don't know what it's called. What? Spine. I knew it was S. There. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm just going to leave that bit. So we're going to do another knot here. So just go under a couple, or you can do it under the first one, it doesn't really matter. So again, just a loop and through. Just hold your stitches a little bit so it doesn't pull, and you can do it one more time if you need to. Okay, let's chop that off. There, and there's your first page. Right, now I've got a little mini project. Okay, if you have enjoyed that and would like to carry on, what I'm going to do is, I've just got a scrap piece of fabric here. I thought this would kind of go nice with the yellow edging. This is just an old, I don't even know what it is. I don't know what it is. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do an extension and then maybe a little pocket on the end. So I'm going to cut, I am kind of eyeballing it, but that's about, it's about 3.5 inches. Just cut like that. By, it was 5 inches, wasn't it? So 5. Again, cut and tear. You don't have to be precise, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so that was 3.5 by 5 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it on there like that at the edge of my page. Then have I got enough thread here? Might have enough. If not, we can always join some more. Okay, don't forget this is loads of raw edges here, doesn't matter. Okay, so what I've done is back to back onto there like that, and then I am going to attach it to this. Again, don't worry about knots or anything like that. All I'm going to do is on that edge, it's leaving enough that my stitches are quite secure, and it's going over like that and there on that edge. Again, just this running stitch all the way across to join it. And you can do this in plain fabric if you want. You can do whatever fabric you like. I'm just going to about manage to get go back up here. I'm just going to finish this off here. So all I'm going to do here is just catch my thread here and do my tie off. Catch my thread again and do another one. Just so that's secure, like that. Move that out of the way for a second. So I've got a little bit of an extension going here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to chop, this isn't, I don't think that was level to start with. That's fine. My thread again. It's not threading. There are little gadgets you can get to thread your needles if you do struggle. There, that's come through. Okay. So I've got a bit of an extension here, so again, my needle on the inside this my thread, my knot on the inside this time, and then just do some more stitches. Like I say, you don't have to do this bit if you don't want to, but if you fancy doing a few more stitches, getting a little bit more practice, or you've enjoyed it so much that you just want to carry on, you can just do a little bit more. So we've just done a little extension to the page, and this is going to fold over. And it's just a bit more practice. Like I say, you can do yours in a contrasting colour, like I've done, or you can do it in a plain colour. You could change your thread to a different thread. I'm just keeping mine all the same. Okay, just pull it, right, I've pulled it too far. I'm just going to do that. Back round again. You could also do your lines closer together if you wanted to get more lines in, and your stitches smaller. Okay, I'm just going to finish . Okay, through the loop. I'll tell you what, I'm going to change. I'm not going to be drastic because it is going to be the similar colour, but I've got this pearl here. So it's roughly, it's probably a little bit thinner actually than the two strands together, but let's go with that. Then I haven't got to cut any more off my my DMC one. So this is just one strand of the thin pearl. It's going to go through my needle. Yes, it is. There we go. It's gone through. Yeah, so this is just one strand of this one. So we see how this one looks next to it. But you could go for a colour change if you wanted to go for a colour change. You see, you can actually see that it is a little bit thinner. But it'll still give a texture. I'm just going to get rid of that, catching my finger on it, just a few strands there. Alright, I've lost my tail, so I'm just going to pull it, that's it. So I'm just looking to see what that is. That's, oh, it's a stray, it's a stray thread. There we go. Again, my tail's caught up. Right. I've puckered that up a little bit. Puckered, I said. I didn't swear. To be a little bit lighter of handling. Right, so I'm nearly at the end now. Probably do a couple more rows maybe. Okay. Oh, I've got to, what's going on there? All right, that's getting a bit short, so we'll tie that off. Right, so I'm just going to grab a little bit more. Thread it again. There we go. So I've got a knot there. Right, I've got a knot. I don't know how I did that. Let's just chop that off. Try again. Okay. So what I thought now was, let's have a look at what we've got. Right, I think it needs one more row. So just come up here. I don't want to go too close to the edge, but I could definitely do with another row. Right, now what I thought with this little project is I could make a little pocket. So, where am I finishing? Right, I'm just going to go up to the top. So I'm just going to go right up to the top the running stitch, just moving my thread and my needle up with me. I think that will do. Okay, and then just on the edge, making sure you're getting both sides. Go down. Make a little pocket. You don't have to do this at all. Okay, so I'm at the bottom. Go back in here and just make a knot. I'm going to pick up that stitch there and loop, and another loop like that. Cut that off and do on the other side. Okay, again, I can already see it's not quite perfect. Oops. But it'll be fine. Oops. So stray thread there. I'm going to start this side this time and go up again and just do a running stitch up the other side. It's really the simplest of pockets. Just another running stitch, not too close to the edge if you've got fraying fabric, because you don't want it to fray and then your pocket to come open. So go down and then right into the corner like that, and then just pick up a few threads and do a couple of knots like that, and there you've got your little pocket. It's only a dainty pocket, it's nothing too sturdy, you know, you don't yank on it too much, but you've got your little pocket. And then what you can do is you might get some threads left over, like these ones here. They can still be used, don't throw them away. So I've got the pink one and the brown one. I can just roll them up like that and I can pop them into my pocket to use on another project. It might not be the next one or the next one, but you might want to come back to that colour. So that's our first little project. It was just a bit of a running stitch and we carried it on and we've made a little pocket. But like I say, if you don't want to carry on and do this bit, you don't have to. Or if you just want it as a little a flap to fold in, you can do, that's fine. But I just thought it would be quite useful if you just do a couple more rows and then you've got your little pocket, and you can put your, they're called orts, basically, the little, I can't even find them. They're just little tiny bits of snippets of thread that can be used again. So it's a waste not, want not kind of thing. So pop them in there because you can use them again later at on another page. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed doing our first little stitchy project. I will be back next week with I think a couple more stitches next week. We're going to do 2. So I think that was what the plan was. So yeah, a couple of stitches next week now that we've got this one. Hopefully for those of you who are only just starting, it gives you a little bit of confidence, and we will get progressing onto some others. So thank you so much for joining me. I've really enjoyed doing this and I can't wait till next week. So I'll see you then, hopefully. Take care in the meantime. Okay, bye bye.